Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back for the first time, maybe, hopefully for like the 400th time, to Southeast Iowa Union Prep Sports Plus, your home for high school baseball, softball, soccer, basketball, hockey if they ever get it, powder puff football, tiddlywinks, chess boxing, every single sport you could think of. If they play it in the high school and it gets sanctioned, it's getting talked about here. I'm here with my main man, Hunter, and Peter on the ones and twos. And you ever watch Angels in the Outfield, Hunter?
Great movie.
You know when the guy, makes when Matthew McConaughey makes that catch, and then the big catcher guy hits that home run, breaks the bat. Remember how did they do that, Hunter?
I can't remember specifically, but
because there were angels in the outfield, Hunter. Angels helped them with both
wow.
things. And our angel is Fairway Food Stores, because we wouldn't be able to do this without them helping us every step of the way. They are once again powering us
Our
today.
angels in the outfield. I see where you're
There
going
are
with that.
angels
There
in the
are
outfield,
angels.
the infield. There are angels.
In the infield, outfield. They're pretty much the angels everywhere for us.
Yep, Angels. I'm pretty sure they made a sequel to that didn't do well. My kids have been watching Angels in the Outfield.
Great movie.
Great movie. You popped out. We are talking baseball, softball. Let's talk a little. We got to talk a little softball first, Hunter.
Yes, sir.
Something happened on Thursday night. Just steps away from the Fairway Food Stores, in Washington, Iowa. I mean, steps away, a lot of steps away. You have to do a little walking to get to Washington High School, where the Washington softball team clinched their first outright SEC championship in 13 years. And your man's Andy was on the scene. Demons all over Fairfield in a game that it decided the SEC kind of. I mean, Washington was in pretty good position. They weren't going to lose every game. So they pretty much had it wrapped up. But due to, the math, the statistics, the geometry of everything, the Demons had to beat Fairfield to clinch outright for the first time since 2013, I believe, 12 or 13, the conference championship. I showed up. Washington immediately started scoring runs. Something they've been able to do, especially in the conference game, is just don't even let the other team breathe. Just put runs on them as quickly as you can. And they put up 5 in the first inning. Then Fairfield not only scored 2 in the next inning, but had the bases loaded. Washington brought in Bella Salazar to relieve Colby Griner for a few innings. She did a good job pitching. But long story long, Hunter. Demons 15, Trojans 2. Washington scored 5, 8, and 2. And mathematically, that put Washington all under the top. Let me tell you who the offensive stars were for the Demons. By the way, this only went 4 innings, I believe. The stars offensively for the Demons, by the way, all 3 of their main pitchers, Halleck Cutterback also pitched in this. So all 3 of their big arms went 3 for 3 day from Ella Griner. She had 2 RBIs. A 3 for 4 day with 3 RBIs from Colby Griner. A 2 for 2 day with 3 RBIs for Bella Salazar. Couple RBIs from Natalie Hartman. By the way, this and then there's a double and an RBI from Mackenzie Messer. This bottom of the Washington order, the kids that haven't been the varsity kids for long, like the young kids, Mackenzie Messer, Natalie Hartman, and Callie Gerdes, they have been stepping up the last few weeks, the last couple of weeks. And if they're hitting like this, Washington is going to be a tough one to beat, Hunter.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the I guess biggest things I've noticed this season. And I feel like the hitting almost might be more consistent with like throughout the entire order. This season. I know they obviously didn't lose like many, but they gained a lot of young players that are have jumped right into the varsity role and kind of shine. So Washington's very dangerous. Obviously, and Coach Oberman does a good job of putting them against opponents throughout the season that are very, very, very good. They're always in tournaments with a bunch of other ranked teams. So postseason's approaching, and Washington. I know they fell short past couple of years, but definitely could be there this year, especially with that senior class that's kind of leading the charge. That has led the charge for the past 4 or 5 years. Looking at 8th grade as well. So, Demons are exciting, and they're doing everything right.
What they did was, so last year and the year before, the older girls made up usually the more bottom part of the lineup because the kids that are in the main part now, pretty much all the kids I just named in my little recap. Also, Olivia Anderson, another senior who I think just had 1 RBI, so I was just going through and doing the multi-hit people. Now it's the older kids are still in that 1 to 6 the way they've been forever. And then the younger kids are filling at the bottom, but the younger kids have been hitting in some of these games, like in some of these conference games, they've been just as dangerous as the meat of the lineup. And they're going to need to be because Washington must have, maybe done something wrong to the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union, because despite another great year on the softball fields, the Union has thrown Washington in the same region with both Assumption and Central Lee. Again, the 3 teams that have been ranked for all year. Central Lee technically isn't ranked right now because they lost to Washington. That's how they got knocked out of the rankings. But
that
so
was
the
a 5-4 game where Washington was like losing like late and had to come back. And it's kind of almost storybook too, because like those are the only teams. Those 2 teams are the only 2 teams since those now like seniors have been in those are the only 2 teams that have knocked them out in the postseason. Obviously, a couple years ago, I saw Assumption. I think they lost twice to Assumption, and then obviously Central Lee last year last year's was like almost a kind of an upset because
it felt like an upset. It's
earlier
kind
in
of
the season,
shocker actually.
Yeah, and I think earlier in the season last year, it was Washington won like 12-4 or something like that pretty handily. So, this year is obviously their matchup was a lot closer than the regular season matchup last year, but still, Washington trying to get over the hump against those 2 teams, and just assuming obviously they're going to have to play them. I can't remember who's their first round matchup. They have an easier first round game.
They have who's Washington playing the first? Does Washington even play anybody in the first round, or they just have a bye?
Maybe they don't actually.
So the 4A brackets only have 6. I think, you look that up. I think the 3A brackets have 8. So I think they probably do play somebody.
But regardless, there's more than a likely chance based on like who the best teams are in that region that they're going to Midland.
Oh, yeah. Midland, and that's the Midland in Iowa, not the Midland in Australia.
And Assumption is the top of that region, I'm pretty sure. So more than likely, like I said, unless there's a ungodly upset, that they're probably going to be matching up with one of those 2 teams, which find it here. Oh wait, Washington's still.
Are there any SEC teams? Who does check? Who would Assumption play in the semis, just in case?
Oh, let me click it here. So Assumption plays Comanche. Assumption will play the winner of Mediapolis West Burlington. Washington plays Midland, and they will play either Central Lee or Monticello, which Monticello is 8-18. Obviously, Central Lee 20-7. So based on records, it's going to be another Washington Central Lee matchup. And Assumption, obviously, Assumption has a really good shot just based on what I kind of know about the Mediapolis, West Burlington, Notre Dame
team,
South Conference, Super Conference South Division teams, just kind of what their opponents have.
Assumption plays a gauntlet of teams.
Yeah, and they've beat some really good teams. So really a good chance it's going to come down to probably Assumption, Central Lee, and Washington. Basically, those three I would say are probably the favorites, if you will, out of that region. Which Washington's going to have to, no pun intended, beat some demons to or conquer some demons to get through Central Lee and Assumption.
Well, I'll tell you what. Speaking of teams like that, this is kind of a revenge tour because Washington had not beaten Fairfield before, like last year. Even when they were getting better, they just had that bugaboo against Fairfield, and now they've beaten Fairfield all three. I thought that Fairfield and Washington might end up in the same region. I'm just going to run through these two softball teams, and then I'll let you talk about how Mount Pleasant did last night. But so Washington did split last night, by the way, against Fort Madison. They are no longer undefeated in the SEC. Fort Madison stole a game from them 9-6, and then they won 9-5. And they're also beaten by. We're going to talk about Highland a little later, but they're also beaten by Highland. So Washington has actually stumbled here just of late. But Fairfield wise, real quick. So Fairfield lost that game. They're still above 500. They got put in the same region as Davis County, a good team, and Albia. They got another tough. They're going to get tough regions anyway because the 3A teams in the south and southeast are pretty strong. But Fairfield did play last night against Keokuk, a couple of wild ones. First game, 10-8 win for Fairfield. In that game, the RBI leader was Leah Helmick. Olivia Hollander had a couple RBIs. Maddie Martin had one. Faith Jones and Lainey Norris each had one. And then in game 2, Keokuk was actually at 4-0 after the top of the first. Lily Bergeron hit a homer to left field to kind of get the stuff started for the Fairfield offense, and pretty much the Fairfield offense just performed all night. But the leader in that one, Lainey Norris, 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Haley Eklund, speaking of younger kids who have been hitting very well, the younger kids for Fairfield have been stepping up as well. Haley Eklund and Vanessa Kessel have been hitting just as well as the top of that lineup too. But Eklund had a couple RBIs, double. She's been kind of on fire lately. So Fairfield will now play against Burlington tomorrow to lock up second place all alone. Actually, if they already locked up, because it's something you're going to talk about, they might have already locked that up. Let me check it out.
I think they already did.
Yeah, because I forgot what happened. I forgot about what you're going to talk about. But anyway, so Fairfield second place. They'll play Burlington tomorrow night. Washington plays at Keokuk tomorrow night. Keokuk has a couple of conference wins, but they've been struggling, especially defensively, so I expect Washington to score a lot. And then why don't we just stick with softball, Hunter, and then we'll talk about baseball afterwards, because you had some news from the Mount Pleasant softball team who has kind of sneak. They've snuck up. They've snuck up in the conference standings to now be fifth. They've passed Keokuk. How'd that happen, Hunter?
Yeah, well, on Monday night, much like the boys team, headed over to Burlington to face off with the Greyhounds in a Southeast Conference matchup. Huge win as it pertains to conference standings, as you kind of already mentioned. But they ended up splitting on the night, but the one win was a big one. Panthers dropped the opener 8-1, but bounced back in the nightcap to win it 4-0. Kind of interesting looking at the stat lines of these games, but in game 1, Mount Pleasant had 8 hits, but just couldn't convert them into many runs. Izzy Sloat and Lindsay Striegel each collected 2 hits. Striegel had the team's only run on the night. Keegan Coleman, Sage Burchett, Peyton Enzeminger, and Shayla Cook also had hits. Cook pitched a complete game, gave up 10 hits, 8 runs, 5 of those earned. Second game, kind of a different story. Just 5 hits for the Panthers in this one, but made them count this time around. Coleman and Burchett both had 2 hits and an RBI apiece. Cook added another hit, and Striegel an RBI. So, Mount Pleasant Also, I'll throw this one in here because they were also in action Tuesday. Ended up beating West Burlington back to Burlington. Headed back to Burlington to take on West Burlington Notre Dame. Beat them in a high-scoring affair, 17-10. Kind of nuts. It's always crazy seeing those big scoring lines there.
We've had a plethora of them this year.
But Mount Pleasant 5-7 now in the season, and as you mentioned, slipping there to fifth place with that win, and also helping out Fairfield a little bit. Which we see Mount Pleasant help out Fairfield a little bit on both sides, but we'll get to that, boys, here in a sec.
Yeah, we will. Before we do, I wanted to say a name that you mentioned. So Sage Burchett came on a couple years ago. She had a 2-homer game in the tournament. And then I believe she did not play last year. So this year, she's been hitting in those top spots. She hadn't had the breakout yet. And then all of a sudden, like 4 or 5 games ago, because I saw them, they lost to Cardinal, but 4 or 5 games ago, she just started launching the ball to the fence again. And so she seems to be picking it up. They got another power bat. They got a lot of young kids usually. With a lot of young kids, you have a lot of singles hitters, but she's been. I would not be surprised if she's going to send one out here pretty soon.
I agree. She drilled one the other night, and it was just a great defensive play. Got reeled in the outfield.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She's been hitting well even in the games where they haven't scored a lot. By the way, I just had to look back because you mentioned the 17-run game last night. Shaylee Cook 4 RBIs, Lindsay Striegel 3 RBIs. So good. Mount Pleasant has to go right back to Oskaloosa, who they played in the first game of the year for their first round of the tournament. So they need to be hitting the ball because I can tell you Oskaloosa can. So that's all about softball. Now let's talk about this baseball, Hunter, because the Southeast Conference baseball race has been a kind of a crazy one. We knew going in that there's a chance, big chance for Fairfield. They'd be one of the favorites. That it would probably be Burlington and Mount Pleasant that they would have to battle through to get there. Burlington swept Fairfield earlier this year.
Yep.
To go up 2, and Fairfield hadn't lost to Mount Pleasant, but Burlington beat Mount Pleasant the first time around. And he kind of thought, there needs to be some crunching of, like, the math has to start working out here for Fairfield. They're going to need something. Burlington had 3 games to play before they play Fairfield on Thursday night, which is tonight if you watch this on Thursday. A game against Fort Madison and then a doubleheader against Mount Pleasant. To set the stage for last night, Burlington was upset on Thursday by Fort Madison, putting them only 1 game above Fairfield. I was at the Fairfield games. I'll just go ahead and tell you that Fairfield knocked the ball around like crazy and won easily. They did have to storm back a little bit in game 1. It was 1-0, but they had Foster Richardson on the mound, and he had a good game, and eventually the offense woke up and started hitting the ball. So then all that Fairfield was wondering after they won, because we knew about a loss in the first game from Mount Pleasant, but everyone was just checking their phones. I was texting and calling people trying to figure out. Hunter's phone was dead. What happened in the Mount Pleasant game? Because if Mount Pleasant beat Burlington in that second game, it would set up a winner-take-all between Burlington and Fairfield on Thursday night. Hunter, you were there. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, well, you said everybody basically saw the scores of the first game. 13-2 loss for Mount Pleasant in that one. Pretty much an offensive onslaught by the Greyhounds in that one. Pretty much dominated start to finish. Really took control with an 8-run third inning, sent 13 batters at the plate. And, that Mount Pleasant did have a 1-0 lead in that one before that 8-run inning. But Burlington ended up adding 5 more runs in the fourth to cap off the scoring there. But basically mention offensively, it was just a struggle, but also give credit where credit due to Burlington senior Ian Mason. Threw a 2-hitter on the night for them. Brayton Hudson and Liam Marshall both recorded Mount Pleasant's only hits. J.C. Sitar and Zach Newton each drove in a run, or each. Well, that doesn't make any sense, actually. JC Torrance, I can both drove in a run when they had one run.
Yeah,
Or wait, no,
it's good. It's
no,
good
they had two runs. They had 2 runs. Never mind.
Oh, there we go. 2 runs.
Yeah,
There we go. I was.
for some reason, I'm
Yeah, they
thinking
did have 2 runs. I was gonna
Um,
say it's always good to do this show before we send out the paper because then sometimes we just see stuff where we messed up the story.
right. But biggest game as it pertains to, as we talked for Fairfield and Burlington, the second game, Mount Pleasant's bats came alive. They traded single runs in the first 2 innings, and then Mount Pleasant surged ahead with a 5-run third inning, highlighted by RBIs from Grayson Lowry and Briar Bender and Peyton Walker as well. Burlington did close the gap with 4 runs in the bottom of the inning themselves to make it 7-6, but the Panthers pulled away with a 2 RBI single from Griffin Jones in the 4th and additional RBIs from Cooper Coleman and Jones again in the 6th. So huge win as it pertains to the standings. Fairfield's right there now, can win it. But Walker led the offense in that second game, 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Jones added 3 RBIs and 2 hits. Really impressed with Griffin Jones, by the way. Freshman, stepped up the varsity roster, and he's been playing spectacular. Steps in there at shortstop, and Grayson Lowry's on the mound usually. But Jones added 3 RBIs and 2 hits. Sitar also had a pair of hits. Hudson, Newton, Lowry, and Bender each contributed 1 hit. Marshall had 2 RBIs, and Lowry, Coleman, and Bender each drove in a run as well. So with that split, Mount Pleasant 14-10 overall, 9-5 in the SEC, and that secures them 3rd place in the conference standings there. So at least I'm pretty sure. Fairfield's kind of being a little thankful to to Mount Pleasant right now after picking up one off of Burlington.
Yeah, I was talking to Fairfield's coach Josh Allison after the wins, and we were trying to figure out. And the only piece of information I could get, besides the fact that Burlington won, was that Mount Pleasant did not pitch either Zach Newton or Grayson Lowry in that first game. And so I told Coach Allison, I said, "Oh, that might mean that they were saving both of them for this second game. You might get lucky with the fact that they might have both of those guys throwing," and that's exactly what happened. With both throwing. I also noticed that Zach Newton threw exactly 65 pitches. Does that mean that he's available for Thursday? Is that what that means on the pitch count? So the pitch count hurts my brain sometimes, but I think 65 is a cutoff. So he might pitch. No, they'll probably have Walker pitch on Thursday. I don't know. Anyway, Mount Pleasant kind of dangerous with how their offense is now batting, and also because they don't have. Like Fairfield has a couple of guys that can go a lot of innings and dominate teams. Mount Pleasant has a bunch of guys who can shut teams out for a few innings, and then sometimes they might struggle after a few innings go by. So the fact they did a split right there and kept Burlington to 7 is pretty impressive, because Burlington's offense is like you lose track of who the middle hitters are and the end hitters are because they have so many good hitters. So Fairfield, Burlington. 7:30, whatever. Burlington at Fairfield. Thursday night, winner take all. That's the last SEC game. The winner is the champion. The loser gets nothing, no share or anything like that. It will be a crazy one. And I was talking to Hunter before the show. I can tell you that Fairfield's Dane Burkhart did not pitch against Keokuk, which means I would project him as the sports editor of Southeast Iowa Union to be the starter on Thursday night. I would just guess. And that would be that's their most reliable arm. So it should be a good one. Actually, it should be a good one on both fields, because Burlington's definitely good enough to beat Fairfield, and Fairfield's good enough to beat Burlington, obviously, in softball. So good ones over there. Washington baseball team going to try and get a win at Keokuk. They also play Mid-Prairie. This comes out afterwards, but they play Mid-Prairie on Wednesday night. And then Mount Pleasant has Fort Madison. So there should be some really close games. Honestly, Washington softball is hugely favored against Keokuk on the road, obviously, although Keokuk will pitch Ava Woods, so they'll have a puncher's chance in that. But it's probably a close night in the SEC on Thursday night. I'm guessing we're going to have some really good games.
I'd agree.
And so we know the standings. Washington, softball champions. Fairfield's got to win Thursday night to be the baseball champions. When we come back on this show, we're going to bring you up to speed on the conference standings for the little schools, Southeast Super Conference, Southeast Iowa Super Conference, the South Central, all that stuff. River Valley, Sickle, the Big 10, the Big 12, the MAC. So stick with us. We'll be back.
Introducing Hy-Vee Market Grill, where every meal is a delight. Start your day with our mouthwatering breakfast options and savor flavorful lunches with friends and family. Cap off your day with our delectable dinners. Hy-Vee Market Grill, where every moment is delicious.
The Connie and Amanda team is dedicated to giving back to our community by actively engaging with our clients, businesses, and the public. When it comes to helping you find your next home, investment, or commercial space, the Connie and Amanda team is here for you.
At WCHC, our goal is to take great care of our patients and our staff.
We are able to approach you, take care of your issues, but also give you a path, as far as referrals or treating you right then and there.
Our role in the community is taking care of something that matters to everyone. It's their family and their health.
More than you expect for your health care.
Welcome back, Southeast Iowa Union Prep Sports Plus, powered by Fairway. We're talking small school baseball and softball standings as we're getting towards the end. Pretty much everything's locked up conference championship-wise. Hunter, I'm going to talk about the Super North, and you saw a couple Super North teams, Hunter. So real quick, last night you went to the lovely Packwood, Iowa to watch Columbus and Pekin. Give us a short rundown of what the heck happened last night.
Yeah, ended up being a 15-6 victory for Columbus in that one. It was kind of back and forth early on. Columbus opened the game with a pair of runs in the first, and then Pekin responds, took a 3-2 lead after their half of that. And then, Pekin built upon that lead. They traded runs again. So Columbus took the lead, then Pekin gets it back. They lead 6-4, and then from then on out, it's pretty much all Wildcats. Exploded offensively, scored 11 unanswered runs between the fourth and seventh inning. And pretty much that was all she wrote. Huge night for Ellie Sanders, went a perfect 5 for 5 on the night with 2 RBIs. Kennedy Whooping had a big night at the plate, 3 for 4, 6 RBIs, including a home run to lead them there. Pekin was led by Maya Bainbridge, who went 4 for 4 with an RBI, and then Addison Smith had a hit and drove in 2 runs as well. So big conference win for Columbus. I know that puts them at second, obviously behind I believe Louisa Muscatine, right? So, or it's kind of. I think I was looking at it, it's iffy because Lone Tree has more wins, but they have Lone Tree in third or something right now.
Yeah,
right?
Well, so the conference standings on Varsity Bound I am seeing are incorrect because they've only got Columbus playing 10 conference games. Columbus is not. They have Columbus at 7-3 in conference. That's not true. Because they've lost more than 3 games. Louisa Muscatine is your 2025 Southeast Iowa Union Super Conference North Division champions.
Number 2 ranked team in the state.
Number 2 ranked team in the state. We've had teams come close. Highlands come close. Columbus has fought with them.
Pekin played them pretty close too, I think.
Pekin played them pretty close. We just haven't had a team beat them. Spoiler alert, when the brackets came out, there could be a future matchup between L&M and Columbus coming, or Cardinal coming up.
I wonder if I'm wondering if L&M. I think L&M might have I've never seen L&M play, but I think they might have one really really good pitcher because they've played other upper class top 5 teams and beat them pretty handedly too. And I'm
they have. It's
and I'm I don't know if you've ever seen them play. Have you seen them play? I don't know.
I haven't seen them play this year, but I've seen them play before. I always see them in the postseason. But yeah, they have 2 kids. Their senior pitcher Cameron Taylor, 16-2 with a 1.9 ERA, and then they have it's not going to get any better for opposing batters because their second pitcher is an 8th grader, Grace Hoops, and she is 7-2 with a 2.62 ERA. So L&M always has a stud pitcher. I wonder if they actually played. They just beat Columbus 9-1, Hillcrest 9-1. So in the standings, so L&M wins it. Now the standings aren't perfect on Varsity Bounce, so I'm just going to tell you how many wins everyone has in the conference. Lone Tree is second, 8-4, and then Wapello has 7 wins. Columbus has 7 wins. Highland has 7 wins. Hillcrest has 6. Pekin has 3. So that group, between Lone Tree to Pekin, really, they've all been kind of beaten up on each other. Waco has not gotten a win yet, period. They're 0-20. And Winfield Mount Union also hasn't got a win because they play with New London. So no chance for a conference champion in the Union coverage area in the North this year, which is always our best chance because that's the one where we have the most teams. And conference standings in the South, believe it or not, Central Lee Hawks, champions in the South. They're 12-1 right now. They've clinched up in the South. Mediapolis ended up 8-3. Our 2 teams, Van Buren and New London, right now listed as 2-8 and 1-8 in South Division play. So 6th and 7th. So no conference champion there, of course. Now I'll get into our singular teams. I'm going to start in the South Central, which is the softball capital of the world right now, because they've got ranked teams all over. They've got Albia, who has only lost 1 game, period. It was to Assumption. They've went undefeated in the conference. They're the conference champions over there. Sheraton is also ranked, and they've lost only 5 games total, 3 games. By the way, both those teams are 1 seeds. No. Sheridan's a 2 seed in the tournament. And then Davis County, a really good team who beat Sheraton and also who will play Mount Pleasant on Wednesday. Fairfield in that first round of the tournament is in that. Cardinal is way back in, tied for 5th with Eddyville Blakesburg at 4-9, and they're 9-16 overall.
So dangerous.
And I could see them going to the state tournament because once they get out of playing all the other South Central Conference teams, we saw them advance to the championship in the Fairfield tournament where they lost to Albia, but it was a pretty competitive game. And they're 2A. I could see Cardinal when it gets to their tournament. There are, you know how I gave Sophie Cunningham what did I give her, the Enforcer of the Week?
Yep.
Last week, I'm going to give Cardinal the Sneaky Team of the Week because they are going to enter this postseason tournament, Class 2A Region 2. They have to win at North Mahaska. I could see them. I could see us they could just keep going and going and going. We could watch them in a regional final. But they're not going to win the South Central Conference. And the Sickle Conference, South Iowa Cedar League, much better year for Kyoto this year. They are 8-7 in the conference. They're not going to win North Mahaska's. Sigourney is 15-1. North Mahaska is 14-2 in that conference. So they're above Kyoto right now is tied for. Actually, they're 5th all alone in the conference. So they're not going to win that one. And then finally, in the River Valley South, a team that will be in Washington tonight for some softball, Mid Prairie, 5th at 3-7 in the River Valley South. West Liberty will win it. So if you're wondering what our number of conference championships outside of the SEC is this year, it is 0. Hunter, how's the baseball hooligan?
Well, I've got some news. We do have a conference champion in baseball. We'll kick off with the Super Conference North. Hillcrest Academy, who I saw on Monday night in Burlington, at West Burlington, is your North Conference champion. They finish 13-7 in the my bad. That's the wrong 11-2 in the conference. Highland with a pretty kind of back in the mix campaign, finishes second, 8-4. Actually, it's kind of iffy because Pekin says Pekin's 8-5. It's always confusing when they don't.
There's a game or two that gets a little messed up.
Yeah. So Pekin Highland right there for second in the conference, and then you have Lone Tree, Wise Muscatine, Winfield Mount Union 3-6, Wapello down there, and then obviously Columbus doesn't have a baseball team.
That's true. They're
with WMU. I mean, not specifically by themselves, by themselves, but. And then over in the South, obviously, Mediapolis been pretty much a top 10 team all season long. They take the conference perfect 11-0. Obviously, some really close games. They're pretty much the rest of the top of the league here. Centrally 9-3. Notre Dame 7-4. New London 2-6, and obviously New London is one of those teams that played Mediapolis to I think a 1-run game twice. Van Buren County. See, now this is all messed up. New London 2-6, but then Van Buren County 5-4. Oh, it's because
they probably have it listed by overall. Yep, I had to deal with that too. I had to.
Oh, there we go. Then West Burlington 3-8 and Danville 1-15 there. Jumping into the River Valley South, pretty conference is always good. Regina Catholic is the conference champion, 14-3. Durant 12-5, and then Mid Prairie 11-7, West Liberty 10-7, Wilton 9-8, Tipton 4-14, and the West Branch 1-17. Mid Prairie is another one of those teams. If they're hitting the ball well, we know they have the pitching. If they're hitting the ball well, they can be very dangerous.
They're going to have a star pitcher during the entirety of this postseason tournament. I mean, they're going to have studs on the mound at all times. They just got to score some runs.
Right. And then over in the South Central, much like the softball side of things, there are some very good teams in the South Central baseball side of things. Sheraton, obviously, state tournament team last year. They take the conference title in the South Central Conference again, 18-3. Knoxville, 15-5. Cardinal, who has kind of had a bounce back campaign the last couple of years. They've kind of, we've kind of seen them coming up. They finished third, 12-9. Albia 10-10. Centerville 9-12. Davis County 7-13. Clark Community 6-14. Eddyville, Bloomsburg, Fremont 4-15 there, and finally in the South Iowa Cedar League, obviously Keota in here. A lot of good teams at the top of the standings. Choose teams really stick out who are both ranked, I believe. I know Sigourney's ranked, but Linville Sully's also ranked. I'm pretty sure. Linville Sully or Sigourney wins it out 16-0. They go. Linville Sully 15-1, and then you got BGM and North Mahaska both 11-5. Iowa Valley 9-7. Belle Plaine 8-8. Keota and HLV both go 6-10. Montezuma 4-12. Colfax and Mingo 2-14, and then English Valleys 0-16 there. So. Those are the final kind of conference standings, how it's going to shake out, relatively how it's going to shake out here heading into the end of the regular season and into the postseason.
And you know what that means? That means we need Fairfield on Thursday night, or else the Southeast Iowa Union will be shut out from baseball conference championships this year. So everybody go out. Watch.
Except for Hillcrest Academy.
Except for the Hillcrest Academy. Oh, yeah, right. Hillcrest Academy won. That's right. Yeah, we already got one. No pressure on Fairfield at all, actually. Hillcrest is already the champs. So no pressure on carrying the Union area at all. You know what? I got so depressed, I forgot that you talked about the North Division first. When we come back, speaking of Hillcrest Academy and everybody else, we'll tell you we'll just give you a quick when these tournaments are starting, and then we'll give you a goodbye.
Attention Hy-Vee shoppers, introducing Hy-Vee Perks, your ticket to exclusive savings and rewards. Access exclusive perks, prices, earn gas discounts, and unlock special deals. All this for free. Join Hy-Vee Perks today and start saving.
Seafirst Credit Union, we're all about making connections, like how we connect you to that dream vacation with a savings account designed to help get you on the flight there. Connect with Seafirst today and see why together is better.
Bring the kids, share the memories, celebrate 75 years of traditions at the Midwest Old Threshers Reunion. Relive the magic of steam engines, antique cars, and trucks, tractors, gas engines, and horses. Whether it's your first visit or a cherished tradition, you'll enjoy the delicious foods, the thrill of an Old West shootout, and the excitement of nightly grandstand entertainment. For 75 years, this has been the place where memories are made at the 2025 Midwest Old Threshers Reunion, August 28th through September 1st in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Visit oldthreshers.com for more details.
In the heart of rural Iowa, where community matters most, the connections we make are made to last. Meet KCTC, your hometown internet, phone, and TV provider. At KCTC, we're not just about technology, we're about people. Our dedicated team are your neighbors, committed to bringing you top-tier services right where you live. We believe in giving back to the community that raised us. Experience the power of a real connection with KCTC. Join us in building a stronger, more connected Southeast Iowa.
We're back. Southeast Iowa Union Prep Sports Plus, powered by Fairway. Hunter, the postseason is starting, so I wanted to make sure to save the dates for this postseason tournament because I didn't want people to come back next week, watch Southeast Iowa Union, and be like, oh, I need to know when these tournaments start. Well, they start before the next episode, guys. On Saturday, small school baseball, Hunter and I will be running around. Oh, we don't have to run around much because in 1A, Hillcrest and Highland both play at Highland. Hillcrest plays HLV. Highland plays English Valleys. Those start at 5 o'clock with the Hillcrest game. And then New London and Kyoto both play in New London, with Kyoto going first against Notre Dame, and then New London and Wapello. Kyoto's game is at 5 o'clock. So those are on Saturday, this Saturday, a couple days away. That's when it all starts. And then on the and of course we have other teams scattered around. I'll just click on we talked about last show, but 2A games are also on Saturday. But like Cardinal doesn't play because they've got a bye, and Mid Prairie. Where the heck is Mid Prairie on Saturday? Mid Prairie does not play because they have a bye. So it's mostly 1A on Saturday. Winfield, Malian, and Columbus does have a long road trip. And then softball starts on the 7th, which is Monday. So the small school baseball games start on Saturday. And then when do the softball games start, Hunter?
That'd be Monday. On
Monday. Waco's at Wapello. Pekin and Mormon Trail are playing at Mormon Trail. Kyoto does have a home game against Moulton Udell. So there you go. Basically, that's what's happening.
Big school softball starts on Thursday, I think.
Big school softball starts on Thursday. Varsity Bound, GoBound.com is where you'll find all those brackets. Click on brackets to see, and they'll have all the sites and also we have it on the newspaper, obviously. But if you want it in bracket form, check that out. We'll be there. We'll see you all around. And next week, we will be in postseason mode. Peace out, everybody.
Catch you later.